This movie makes me angry and confused.
It was fine.
No. So the time has finally come for a movie I hated that you thought was just fine.
No. There's very big caveats to that, and we'll get into that. I should make a point that first off, I like horror movies way more than you do. Mm-hmm. Second off, I went into this doing a deliberate experiment just to see how disconnected the movies were. I went in trying to view the movie not as a sequel to the first one. I wanted to look at it as a completely separate new concept, pretend this was a new character, pretend that there was no history to the character at all that we are aware of, and just see how it worked as a standalone movie.
Well, you're frozen for me for a little bit there.
Did I lose you?
Yeah, I'm still here. There you go. Can you hear now? Nope.
There we go. Okay.
All right, we're back. Sorry about that. So yeah,
only we were reviewing. We're back.
But you're talking about your experiment with this movie. We basically pretend the first movie never happened.
Yeah. So I wanted to see how standalone this movie was, because this is bar none a terrible idea. Yeah. There's no question about it. I don't know why these guys thought it was a good idea. I enjoyed the Evil Dead remake. It stands to this day as the most harrowing film-going experience I've ever had. So granted, I had it on a big screen in a dark room with really loud sound, and it was just super intense. But you know, he's good at making a visceral experience. But he also has like a weird brutality to what he does, and I wanted to see how much this movie would deal with what was in the first movie. So I wanted to approach it as a clean slate, as a separate film with the same concept of a character, but not necessarily the same character. And honestly, for the most part, under that guise, this movie worked. Like for a 7 out of 10, this movie worked. And here's the thing. There are things about it that are awful and gratuitous, but for the kind of movie it's trying to be.
Whoops. My computer just randomly shut off on me. Continue.
That's weird. For a horror B movie, a lot of those things fit really well. Like, it does just fine. It has dumb dialogue. It has very simple concepts. It is mainly to get you from point A to point B and set up these set pieces. And those set pieces are really solid for the most part. I really liked the first home invasion where it's just the little girl. Like, that was an actually tense sequence that was well constructed. I liked the way that the house was set up and how they utilized the elements of it. I liked how they ran from them throughout the house and had this little cat and mouse chase. And then later, when they go into the later area, it was less of an interesting environment, but I did like how they used the environments to set up these scenarios and, you know, just have these situations happen. Did I lose you?
I'm still
there. Or just holding still.
Okay, very still.
Okay. But so for the most part, that was okay, and I could let the other stuff slide. I did find myself a little too hyped up for the violence, because every time I have a movie that people talk about the violence, and I remember that it's a movie that mainstream normie people are seeing, I see the violence and I'm like, oh yeah, this is extreme for a normal person. I need to see horror movies that the violence is hyped up by horror fans. So you know you're actually getting some real shit, instead of like, ooh, I never saw someone get, stabbed in the neck. Like, oh, like, fuck off. That's Babytown Frolics. Like, not even, that's basic bitch bullshit when you're coming into horror movies. Miss me with that shit. Fucking normie basic ass bullshit. Like, I was excited for more violence, and I got a little bit of it at the end, just a little bit, like as a snack. And I was like, I just want to go watch dead alive. But so that's I think on that level it works. But then they actually try to tie it to the first movie. And it is done in the most lazy, contrived, empty, hollow way. And that alone knocks the movie down like a whole 4 points for me. Like it made the experiment that I was conducting impossible to continue doing. So in the end, this movie, maybe a 4 out of 10, maybe, but I'm more inclined for like a 3.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad we reached the same conclusion in the end, even though if our journeys were very different.
It's impossible to avoid, man.
Like that, like
it's impossible to avoid.
Well, like that's the thing about it for me, because like here's the thing, I loved the first movie. I put in my top 10 movie. Because like it was carefully constructed, it knew what it wanted to do. The way it set up its set pieces, like right at the beginning with like the tour of the house, was brilliant. The sound design was immaculate. Like everything worked, and like you easily understood every character right away. Like everything was set up right away, so you can just get right to it and build up the tension. And then this movie, has a dark twist midway through that really makes his characters an awful, despicable character. And then right off the bat, like here's the thing: even if they follow through on some of the shit they follow from like the last movie, you might have had like I don't know, like it would have still been. At least it would follow through when it did. Like because right off the bat, when you have like a character who has like a surrogate daughter, your first thought is if you saw the first one was like, oh shit, did he succeed from his goal in the first movie? Which is my first thought. It's like how fucked up would it have been if they actually followed through on that. I'm not saying they should have done that, but at least it would have like shown that there was some care to understand the first movie, period.
Well, no, but that's the thing. The movie is written by the same people who wrote the first movie,
which makes it all the more baffling.
The director of the first movie helped write this second movie,
and like
this is how I feel about Sicario 2.
Yeah, like how did you get this far off the mark? And like I don't understand it.
Yeah,
I don't understand
really weird to see how.
Fuck my god. And right at the bat, I'm already pissed because it turns like, oh, he found her in a fire 8 years ago, and that no more questions.
What's the time span difference between these two movies, by the way? What exactly is the timeline we're looking at here? Like
that's really confusing.
But so with that in mind, like when I saw in different descriptions of the movie that it's like, oh, his past catches up with him. No, I was looking for some kind of a reckoning.
Nope.
Holy shit. This movie would have been really interesting if they actually attempted to address the monster that he was in the first movie and actually tried to have that moral argument in the middle of the movie. It would have been tricky to navigate and even trickier to pull off in the end. I don't know how they would have executed it, but I would have been interested in seeing how they would have explored a topic like that. But they barely do it. They just drop it entirely and they're like, oh, he has a little girl now. If you had never seen the first movie, you would have no idea what this man was.
And like, here's the thing, like right out the bat, I knew they weren't going to do it. Was right out the mid, like begin the movie when he has this ranger friend, like park ranger who drives by and like takes a little girl out to town and stuff like that to show her.
Oh yeah, and when she's like, I know you think you're a monster.
And it's like, you're a bad man. I know that's what you tell yourself, but you really know. I was like, oh, fuck you, movie. He actually is a bad man.
No, this isn't just some veteran who came back from doing war crimes, which that's a completely separate conversation. But like,
this like straight up like kidnapping rapist, like right at the bat.
He did kidnapping and raping and forced impregnation shit. Like that was his whole shtick in the first movie. And when you find that out, it's horrifying.
Yeah,
it is genuinely like, oh my god, like holy shit deal.
Yeah.
And for them to just like forego that in this movie and be like, look, he has a sordid past, but he's a father now. Like, fuck you.
Fuck
like, and here's the thing: I might be able to like deal with that as a concept if they had any kind of lead up to it.
Mm-hmm.
If they had any kind of comeuppance. I'm not against the idea of, you know, the redemption of a monster. Now, to different degrees, of course. I have a hard time conceiving of a way where I would be down with the redemption of a monster of that caliber from the first movie, but I'm not opposed to the concept of it. But that's not what this movie fucking does.
No,
at all.
But I was really pissed off. Not only that line, but the fact that the whole fact that, you know, he like kidnapped, raped, and forcibly impregnated like one woman and tried to do it to second one is mentioned. It's like referenced once in the entire fucking movie. That's at the very end,
and not in detail.
And not in detail, just in the most vague, wish-washy kind of a way, which means the writers had no idea how to address the elephant in the room, so they decided just not to do it. And to me, it's like, fuck off with that.
Yeah.
So, like, right at the bat, movie's already pissing me off with that. And then right at the bat, like, yeah, like I'll agree with you to a certain degree. Like some of the setups, okay, and like some like the cat and mouse was kind of clever, although it did kind of ruin the immersion for me a little bit because I started imagining him like the henchman in Metal Gear Solid. The way she's kind of bobbing in between them, and the way they're kind of walking robotically down the hall. So,
what was it? There was I did laugh at a couple of points. There were a couple planted laughs that I did enjoy quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like when that one dude's just like, I'm out, and just like bolts. Like I laughed. That was good.
But there's other one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There was a moment that I laughed at too and cheered where it was funny because there was this dude like in the back of the theater I was sitting in where like there's can we just do spoiler territory? Like, fuck,
I don't give a shit about this movie.
All right, cool. Spoiler territory. If you don't want it spoiled, fuck off. Go see it, and you'll be right back and understand. But when he does the eye gouging, first off, real Rambo Last Blood vibes with that line.
Yeah,
it's just like,
this is
now you'll see what I see. But the eye gouge, very nicely executed. I appreciated the gore there. I enjoyed that moment because I'm sitting there going like, yeah. And the dude, like in the back of the theater, I just hear him go, oh, fuck. Like, it was really funny.
Okay, see, that I can kind of get. That I can understand.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was good stuff.
But like for every bit of that,
I liked I liked pretty much everything with the machete. I liked the second dog.
The second dog was cool. Second dog was
I like the fact that there was one dude who was like, hey, this is fucked up. Like, just
we'll get to that fucking plot twist in the end there.
I'm not cool with that. I'm not cool with that. Like, okay, cool. That was the one like mechanic you needed in here because you literally just plotted out the point. They almost escape, but one henchman turns against the guy because he actually has some measure of a moral center. Also, why did they kill the ranger?
I was gonna bring that up because that pissed me off too. Because I'm like, there was literally no reason for them to kill her. And right off the bat, I'm already infuriated by these characters. I already find them really obnoxious and annoying. And like one of the guy immediately comes off as like child.
Two women in the movie.
Oh my god, you're right.
Yeah, no, but two women in the movie. One of them is a good woman, immediately murdered. The second one, for no reason, for no fucking reason. There's no reason for her to die. She's just offed for like to show how bad these guys are. The second one is this evil fucking meth addict bitch who just wants to like literally inflict the worst possible trauma like on her child. Like, and is the most selfish, creepy person. It's crazy.
Like to me, that whole plot line was baffling because what this whole movie culminates in is that this girl that Stephen Lang has taken as his own, her father gets out of prison and tracks her down. That's who conducts this whole home invasion thing. but he doesn't call the police or child protective services or literally anything he can do, because what he really wants to do is take his daughter to her
harvest her heart
and literally like cut out her heart to give it to her mom, which like one thing fucked up. Second thing,
because her mom is dying.
And first off, I can't believe I
have
to tell this.
Important point. It's not just as a romantic gesture, man. You make it sound like he's just doing it as a sign of his love.
True.
Like he's not just doing it because he's like, I love you, mom. Here's your daughter's heart. No, she's dying.
She's like, dying, and they said like they need like a donor for the heart. Okay, there you go. Clarify that point.
Be the girl.
But like,
that's an important point, man. Otherwise, it sounds much weirder. Like,
honestly, it probably would be more interesting.
I just wanted it.
Like honestly, I would have been more invested in the storyline if they went with that angle. If they're just that blatantly evil, because at least it would make a bit more sense than the reality situation. Because I'm like, this girl is maybe 12, and I can't believe I have to say this to a movie involving. Well, how is that?
It's just that she might be the timeline is very strange because she's like an 8-year time lapse passes, but it's the same little girl acting as her. So
that part was
very strange.
That was one of the scenes I just kind of glossed over that because my larger issue is like
they don't care.
I can't believe I have to tell you, a room full of adults, that a child's heart is not the same size as an adult heart. That you can't really just take a child's heart, put an adult, and go, it's fine.
No, man, it's like when you take a green banana and you just put it in a paper bag for a couple days and it ripens. It grows like it's still on the vine, and you're all good. She'll grow into it. You know, like a good pair of shoes or something, or like a pair of pants that's a little too big for your youngin'. But the opposite, the heart will grow into her, like hypertension, but good. You know,
this doesn't work on Grinch logic. Her heart's not going to grow 3 sizes that day.
I don't know. But so anyway,
like, right off the bat,
aside from that, but with this in mind, with the idea that this is the whole fucking plot. These guys seem awful casual about potentially murdering her.
Yeah, right.
During the kidnapping process, she is straight up like, this one dude in particular is just like, I'll fucking kill her. I don't care. And sets up a situation where she would have died if it weren't for like in the nick of time fucking moments. But the other thing that I found really weird was that, you know, maybe this wouldn't have been as crazy if when her dad first met her in the fucking bathroom, he didn't talk to her like a fucking pedophile.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up too, because I was like, immediately rapey vibes, like right out of the gate.
Sees her. Yeah, he sees her and he's like, how you doing, gorgeous? Okay, fucking 40-year-old man talking to a teenager. And she's like, she gets to leave because her dog comes there. And he reaches out and touches her hair as she walks out. And I'm like, why don't you just go like, hey, don't be scared. I need you to listen to me. I need you to know. And then he does the thing where he shows her his hair like he does later in the movie. Why do you got to be like, hey there, gorgeous. You look beautiful. Like, you're her dad.
Yeah, right? Like, fucking weird.
Your goal here is not that.
I need to follow you home and kill the park ranger for no reason first.
Yeah, it makes zero sense. It makes absolutely no sense, and it's gross for unnecessarily. And I could have like, God, it's just the movie's really inconsistent from scene to scene.
And like for me, really is right off the bat, like as soon as that guy walks in the room and starts talking like a fucking pedophile, and I'm just kind of sitting there like, you know, the main heroes in the first movie were steeped in moral ambiguity, and like you don't really condone what they were doing, but you get why they were doing it. And then you compare that with these chuckle fucks who come right out of the gate with, hey, we're just murdering pedophiles, and we're gonna track down this girl for no fucking reason whatsoever. And then it's like, oh, so I'm already pissed off and annoyed because of that dumb twist. And then they actually get the point where it's like, oh, he's your dad.
Yeah.
Like, he's your dad. I'm like, okay, so maybe we have a chance to actually have some more ambiguity here. There is some wiggle room here for more complex character drama. And then it goes like, yeah, we want to cut out your heart so I can give it to your mom. I'm like, wow. Okay. That's when I texted you because I'm texting you while I'm watching this. I'm so over this already. And I was like, no, we just got to the midway twist and it's so much dumber. That's when I texted you. It's like, maybe we'll pick up the second half. And then it's like, oh, your mom needs your heart. And I'm like, nope, it just got way dumber. It just got way dumber right now. I'm so fucking angry.
Was there an underlying plot line that they just like had a child organ harvesting business on the side?
I don't know if
or did they just hire the child organ harvester to harvest his child's organ? Like,
I kind of got the feeling on the latter personally. Like they just they freelanced him out. I don't know.
I just found it very interesting how like they had this big. I always like the trope of like a bunch of really sinister looking people hanging out on a staircase in silence, smoking, like just glowering at whatever character is passing by them. Like, we sat here just to make you uncomfortable. We've been waiting 3 hours for you to leave there. Fucking God. Like, great. Now we can go to the fucking bar, have some beers. Like,
my dude is like crazy goth.
But yeah, so yeah, let's get to the thing. Let's get to the part that makes the whole, like, takes the movie from being terrible to just being irredeemable.
All right, so we want to talk about the finale.
So Stephen Lang, our blind man, suffers a mortal wound when doing the final battle to save the child, who's named Phoenix. But you know, but she's like, oh God, and he's like, stay back. You can't come near me ever. I've done terrible things. I've killed. I've raped.
In a way we won't go into specifics about.
and he's like, you should never come near me. I'm a monster. And you know, he like, the blinded dude comes up behind him and tries to fucking kill him. He stabs him. He's about to cut his throat, but then gets shanked with a fucking machete through the chest from little girl. And he stumbles off and falls into a big empty swimming pool. And little girl goes and holds old blind man and goes like, and she tries to cover his wound and he moves her hand and she's like, no, I could save you. And he goes, you already have. And that is the redemption of our horrific kidnapper, monster, rapist asshole from the first movie. That is as deep as they go into it. That's as far as they go. That's as much as they care to give. So
that even the very question is like, okay, now that you killed him off, what was the point of making the sequel?
Yeah, this movie would have been astronomically better if they had just not had it be a sequel. Just have it be a standalone. Have it be a different fucking movie.
Like, why
just have it like
a sequel? Like,
just have it be a totally separate fucking thing. You can totally do that. There was like, I mean, there's what was it? There was that movie Hush, I think, which was directed by Mike Flanagan. And it's about this fucking deaf woman who goes through a home invasion from like this fucking stalker, creepy murderer guy. And it is a surprisingly effective movie. It's a lot of fun. It's really interesting. The only thing you had to do to make this movie a different movie was not cast Stephen Lang, which, you know, unfortunate, but just to distance yourself from the first movie might be a good idea. And maybe just make it like a woman. Make it a woman.
And you know what?
Make it extra clear that it's not the same character. Like, you can totally do that.
If it must be Stephen Lang, it must be the same character. And a super easy way you could have fixed all of this, make it a prequel. I mean, like, before he kidnaps people.
Sure. Yeah, but that makes it hard to root for him at the end.
True.
Or even at the beginning, knowing what he becomes.
Well, you can make it like a fall from grace kind of story. But
if this dude's the fall from grace, if someone falls into like destitute, like poverty and shit, and ends up becoming an alcoholic in their lone mansion, that's one thing. But having him become like a fucking serial killer rapist black guy, that's
okay. Touche.
You can't do that.
I'll give you that one. That one's fair.
It's still impossible to root for. But yeah, just make it a different character. Yeah. You can have the same concept. Just have a fucking blind badass person defending their fucking child and home from, and it's a morally ambiguous enough situation where it's like, hey, found this girl from a fire that went off and raised her as their own, and then just fucking it's totally easy. You didn't have to fucking do this.
But no, it's like the only cynical reason I could think of why this movie's even made was to see there's franchise potential in it, and then they killed off the character that's surrounding anyway. So I was like, okay, so this movie's pointless for two reasons now.
Don't breathe 3, breathless.
It's like, is the daughter supposed to take up the mantle in the third movie or something? Because then again, that kind of takes away the whole blind protagonist.
She suffers an accident in fucking like woodshop class in high school and ends up blinded too. And like,
she's blinded by too much childhood enjoyment in her fantasies.
Oh my god. Yeah. So
yeah, fuck this movie.
Whatever, man. This movie was ass. Like, not worth your time.
I feel like I've slowly worn you down over the course of this review.
No. I was enjoying the movie all right as just a schlocky horror movie, and just being like, all right, well, we can imagine that they just left the first one behind, and they didn't. And I was like, oh no, they're actually they made what they considered to be an effort. Like, oh no. Which is unfortunate because on a certain level, this kind of taints the first one in retrospect. Like, it makes me think the writers were treating it as just some wild and wacky plot device instead of with the gravity it should have been. So that sucks. But, whatever. There are plenty of other movies out there. Let's move on.
Yeah. Fuck this movie. I hate it. It'd probably be my top 10 worst this year because it made me so fucking angry.
Yeah, honestly, I said it's fine during the opening just to piss you off. I don't actually think it's fine. So
it succeeded very well. Now I know how you felt. I did that during Ad Astra.
All right. Well, let's do a good fucking movie.
Yeah. All right. We'll be back soonish whenever this is uploaded. Bye.